time wrong, time wrong. I blow up and then they're all gone, all gone. So sick of saying hold on, hold on. A broken state, shaking the ground beneath, running from everything seems to be the path I lead. And now I'm beating on the floor, wondering why I feel like a ticking time bomb, time bomb. Always seem to get the time wrong, time wrong. I blow up and then they're all gone, all gone. So sick of saying hold on, hold on. I took a shot on hoping I'd never change. I wonder why I'm always broken, stuck in time just like I'm frozen, frozen. Now I'm slowly thinking, a product of overthinking again. Hold it in and change my breathing, settle down and stop repeating amends. I feel like a ticking time bomb, time bomb. Always seem to get the time, always seem to turn wrong. I blow up and then they're all gone, all gone. So sick of saying hold on, hold on. I feel like a ticking time bomb.
Hello, everybody. Today, and indeed whenever, how are we doing? Welcome to another exciting installment of Touchline Talk at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday with LNobbins, hosted by LNobbins. It would be odd if it were hosted by anyone else, wouldn't it? Because it is my channel at the end of the day. That would be an odd one. Not unheard of, but odd, certainly. In today's installment, the transfer window has slammed shut. That's the sound of the door slamming, yeah? We had a chat late last week about how we felt the transfer window had gone on a scale of 0 to 10, ranking it out of 10. And I believe that the conclusion, based on your guys' collective average, was 6.6. That was assuming the transfer window closed then. So we're gonna do another one of those in a moment, just to see like where everyone is at, RE, people's thoughts on the transfer window. And as I say, the main theme of today's video is to sort of discuss, have City actually done enough this window to compete for the title? Have they done enough from their own perspective? And have they done enough given the context of the players Arsenal have brought in and the players that Liverpool have brought in as well? Make sure you are leaving a like on the video as you are coming in. It is free and it helps support the channel. Now, sadly, my chat software isn't working today, so I'm not able to get your comments up on the screen. I can still see your comments, though, so don't worry about that. I just won't be able to bring them up on the screen. Rather frustratingly, what shirt am I wearing? Asks Jack. Yes, this is some beautiful LNobbins merchandise. That's objectively incorrect. Link for the Knob shop is in the video description of every single Nobbins YouTube video, if you'd like to support your boy and get some pretty clean merchandise as well. We have Most People Are Idiots shirts. We also have Blue Moon shirts. We also have some Fraud Watch shirts as well, and hoodies, etc., etc. No, we're only counting this summer. This summer, I'm afraid. But how is everyone doing today? Kev, as I say, I can't bring your comments up, but I can see them. Kevin says, good morning from Lakeland, Florida. We've got Yash, Kieran, Matty, Torsif, Nerupt, Matt, Dwayne, Alan, Musty, Ariaman, PK, Sarthak, Beyond Ultra, Yanko, the Knobbot, big up to the Knobbot, classic viewer of the channel. Got Jack, Kevlar, that's a fantastic, Kevlar Snake, that's a pretty powerful name, it must be said. It's a pretty powerful name. We've got Born Mash and everyone else. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. Now, there will be a Donnarumma analysis video out whenever it's out. Hopefully, it is the international break, and you guys know I have, zero intent of watching a single minute of the international break matches, so that's going to give me a good amount of time to work solely on the Donnarumma video. So, in an ideal world, that's going to be coming out this weekend. Failing that, it will be early next week, but it should be, it will be before City's next game in any event. But as I say, hopefully it's going to be by the end of this week. That would be the ideal scenario. We shall see. We shall see. I've done the vast majority of the research on it. I'm still trying to think of ways to spin it into a more positive light, because I do want the video to be positive overall. So I'm still working on that side of it. I've got an idea. I've got a couple of ideas, to be fair, of how it might be able to be a very good thing. So I'm hopefully going to be able to end on a very positive note in that sense. Even though I still have my concerns, I'm going to try to spin it into a more positive light. Still being honest, of course, but trying to find more positives than negatives, if that makes sense, that sort of thing. Because I want to try to be positive. I want to try to look on the bright side and try to understand the perspective of like the higher ups who've brought him in. So as I said, I've got some ideas. That's going to be more explored in more detail in the analysis video. So stay tuned for that. In the interim, though, chat, and maybe we can talk about that today, to be fair, depending on how we get on. But in the interim, scale of 0 to 10. Scale of 0 to 10. Man City's transfer window. Rate it. Only give one number per person. Otherwise, a moderator will be timing you out. I don't want to skew these stats. Yeah? So on a scale of 0 to 10, how do you rank City's transfer window? Now the door has slammed shut. To be fair, there could still be a couple of outgoings because the Turkey window is still open and the Saudi window is still open. So, maybe Ortega goes, for example. It seems unlikely everyone else goes, but we know for a fact that no incomings are going to come now, realistically. So where do you guys reckon now? This would be interesting to see if people feel a bit more positive about it compared to Friday, or a bit more negative about it because ultimately we didn't bring in the one position that we sort of really needed. That's my main gripe with it. We're getting very similar-ish score, to be fair. A couple of people are very happy, but it does seem for the most part we're getting lots of 5s, 6, 7s. And remember, if you spam, you're going to get timed out, I'm afraid. You're going to get timed out if you spam. I did say that. A moderator will time you out, I'm afraid. So make sure that we do not spam, guys. I don't understand why people are spamming when I said don't spam or you'll get timed out. Like, why can't people take instruction? What's going on? What's happening, guys? Cat, what are you doing? What are we doing? I said one thing. Do one thing. Don't spam your ratings to skew the stats. And that's exactly what people did. I don't get it. Oh, gosh. I don't understand people, man. Right, this is fascinating. Never mind. I was going to say, because the last one ended on 6.6. So we are basically exactly where we started. Just again, it's a very small sample size. It's only people in this chat. But that is a little bit interesting. So basically, everyone who... And there you go. Now it's the exact same as it was. So I think we'll end it there. And it's going to be the exact same one. Its ratings off, as it turns out. There we go. It's going to be nice.
Nice.
Yeah, so how fascinating. Technically, I think last time it was like a 6.1 recurring. This is 6.61. This is 6.56. So technically it's gone down slightly, but in real terms, it's the exact same, isn't it? That was just an interesting little experiment I wanted to do. So it seems like basically everyone is of the same opinion now as on Friday, based on the very small poll of this chat. As I say, technically a little bit lower, but realistically the exact same. So that's interesting to note. So that's interesting. I guess I'm the same. I would say that my rating hasn't really changed because of the one position, obviously, that we know we keep going on about. But that's interesting to note. So I guess now, if you've had like a 6.6 transfer window, and let's say that we are ranking like Liverpool's transfer window, or even Arsenal's transfer window, but certainly Liverpool's, which has been very interesting. And Liverpool were obviously already ahead of us. And I would assume that most people in this chat wouldn't rate Liverpool's window as, equal to or worse than ours. That would suggest that the majority of people in this chat would conclude that City don't really have a chance to compete. I'm not actually saying that. I'm just saying that I'm trying to connect the dots and the logic. Because as I say, if we as a unit, if we are all saying that City's window has been good, not great, but good, whereas Liverpool, who already had a head start on us, has been great to brilliant, that doesn't really bode well for our season. It doesn't really bode well based on that, which is interesting. I guess what I would say, because we can have a chat about our opponents slightly as well, is the Isak one's interesting. It doesn't solve their problems, though. Like, a Liverpool with Isak doesn't necessarily solve the problems that they have without him. Maybe that's just copium. But it is true. Like, no one was looking at Liverpool's first few games and going, yeah, I tell you what this side is lacking on offensive potency. We already knew that they were very, we all knew that they were very good at that. So that's, if you're trying to look at it on the bright side and try to say that, well, Liverpool aren't perfect, and of course they aren't, they actually haven't really addressed the main problem. Gahey would have gone a bit of a way to do that. But the issues are still there for Liverpool in the midfield. The issues are still there in respect of like that spine, where if like one element of it fails or gets injured, then they're a little bit shafted. And Isak coming in doesn't really solve that. So I think I may have convinced myself that I don't know if the difference maker is Isak coming in or not. I think the difference maker may have been, another centre half coming in, or an upgrade in midfield, or options in midfield. So, as I say, maybe that's just copium, but I think it's still something worth exploring from a Liverpool perspective, because I don't think that Isak comes in and immediately that solves out the problems of there being so much space to exploit behind the fullbacks. That solves the immediate problem about their rest defence. One could make an argument about, well, Ekitike started so well already, now you're going to shunt him into a non-optimal position, that sort of thing. Once again, maybe that's making a muchness out of a muchness, but I think it's an interesting thing to chat about. Absolutely. Aya would give Liverpool an 8.5. Kieran says we'll be in a top 4 race. It's football. Liverpool can turn to be shit and nothing clicks, and that is a thing, isn't it? Definitely. Like, just because you've got lots of good players doesn't necessarily mean it will work. I mean, they have looked good so far, but again, it's not necessarily a thing. Futuristic says, I've included Rodri and Foden in that rating. Oh, it's almost like new players. I understand that. Yeah, I get that. Fenway says, Isak's injury prone. That's the main copium. Iron Man says, if Konate gets injured, it's tricky. Liverpool need a DM and centre-back, says Matty. I wouldn't disagree with that. Kazoo says Ait-Nouri wasn't a mistake. Wait, someone's trying to suggest Ait-Nouri was a mistake. Hello? Have I missed something? Hello? Who's saying Ait-Nouri is a mistake? What's going on? No, Ait-Nouri's good. I'm very happy with Ait-Nouri. I don't think that this is something that we chatted about on Friday. I don't think that he's like a 10 out of 10 perfect option for City. Like, I don't think it's like Reinders, where I do consider that perfect, you know, like as flawless signing in a way. But I do think that he's good. He is good to great as a signing. And I know that he didn't have a particularly good showing against Brighton. However, there were some moments where he was good. Like, he created that good chance for Haaland with the cross, and this is what I would really like to see a bit more with Ait-Nouri pushed out to the left. I loved his tenacity to get back, win the ball for the first goal. And here's the other thing. Minter did have a ridiculously good game. Like, their technical right winger was really more of a right back / right wing back for that game because of Ait-Nouri's positioning. And let's be real, Minter had an unbelievable game. Like, he was my man of the match. I thought he was probably the best player on the pitch. Like, he was fantastic. So asking Ait-Nouri to like beat him 1v1, and I don't think that Ait-Nouri was getting too much support. Like, if you watch my analysis video, like the moment where Ait-Nouri gives it away, there's so much space for someone to potentially do an underlapping run. That's where I wanted Marmoush to be. That's maybe where like a Foden could have been, that sort of area. So you're asking, he's not Doku, is he? Ait-Nouri's not Doku, so he wasn't going to be able to consistently beat Minter 1v1 out wide. That's not really his game. He's good at taking on players, but it's not really his game standing up his marker 1v1. How many times is Ait-Nouri realistically going to be in a situation where someone as defensively competent as Minter is basically tracking him, almost like man marking him at times, and that sort of thing? It's not going to happen that frequently, so I think, yeah, if people are like already sacking off Ait-Nouri, probably need to chill, reel it in a little bit, have some perspective. He started his City career well, I think. He looked really good at the Club World Cup overall. I think he's looked good to start the season. Wasn't particularly good against Brighton, but a lot of our players weren't particularly good. So I don't consider that a long-term problem, and he is definitely going to be good, and we have to accept that sometimes there will be defensive limitations to his game. He's not Ake, but could Ake have overlapped to the same degree as Ait-Nouri did against Brighton and pop that cross in for Haaland? The answer to that is no. Now, would Ake provide more defensive security? Sure, but trade-offs are a thing. There are some things that Ake can do. There are some things that Ake can't do. There are some things that Ait-Nouri can do very well. There are some things that maybe he struggles with compared to more defensive options. Once again, trade-offs, balance, risk versus reward, platforming players for success. That's all it is. That's all it is, and that will happen if there comes a point this season. I'm just trying. I don't know. Let's say Saka against Arsenal 1v1. Yeah, Saka's probably going to have a good time against Ait-Nouri, but Ait-Nouri's going to provide a lot more offensively. It's one of those, isn't it? It's one of those. Again, it's a game of trade-offs. It's a game of trade-offs. It's not a problem for me. And it also helps unlock Marmoush, as I think Herbal's just said here. We need to get Ait-Nouri and Marmoush closer to each other on that left-hand side. They could be a real threat. Those two, totally agree, Herbal. Yes, definitely. I do think that is the key to helping unlock Marmoush, definitely. So Marmoush knows he doesn't have to always be pushed out to the left. He knows he has that support. It's early days. I could see signs against Brighton. They were trying to develop a relationship. Like, there was a time where Marmoush dropped, Ait-Nouri pushed on, and Marmoush tried to find him. It was very good pressing by, I think, Minter again. So you can clearly see they are trying to develop a connection. They've only played a few games with each other where, Ait-Nouri's been that overlapping option and Marmoush off that left side. It's very early days, and I think they will develop that sort of relationship with one another. Absolutely. So I'm pretty chill on Ait-Nouri. I do think that is definitely a really good signing. Now, I think that he will prove his worth this season. He will prove his worth. And he needs to get better. Of course he does. Like, we touched on this in the analysis video that I did on him, but he didn't ever really truly play in the centre for Wolves like he has done, for City so far this season. He always started off the left and occasionally drifted inside, but there was never really a situation where, right, you're set, because there's a very big difference between, being in a position and getting into a position. Nicholas, thank you very much for your super chat. Let's see what your fortune is. There's my forehead. Fortune for Nicholas. A focused mind is one of the most powerful forces in the universe. No lies were told. The big spending version of Liverpool is a proposition we haven't faced before. We're not prepared for it. We have to dominate the next two summer windows at all costs. I didn't even realise you could leave a like on Super Chats. That's got 4 likes. Big up to Nicholas for that. I agree. This is... We chat... I'm just deviating for a moment. We chatted about this on LNobbins yesterday. We had a look at all the transfer windows, basically post-treble, and yeah... They're, you can say hindsight's a thing, to be fair, because you may have said at the time, well, Sane is, he was never going to be a guaranteed star from Schalke, whatever. But certainly based on like the players they have become, there is clearly a significant gulf in the type of player that City have been targeting in respect of like the end player, or rather the current player that they are right now, that sort of thing. So that's a thing. That's a thing, isn't it? And the other thing to note is that next summer, it's everyone's favourite topic, homegrown. We are almost definitely going to have to hit the homegrown market very, very hard. Very hard. Because right now we are at capacity right now. If assuming Ortega leaves, then that means that there's 1 slot available. If Kovacic leaves next summer, and we assume he will, that's 2 slots available. If there's 1 more non-homegrown player, isn't there? Have I missed one? Like an off Bernardo. If Bernardo leaves as well, that creates a 3rd slot. Maybe Nunes as well. Maybe. However, but these slots are very quickly eaten up by Echeverri, by Hayes, and by Barr if we plan to keep them. So those slots are now gone. So in respect of like new players to be brought in, the emphasis, unless like a lot of outgoings happen. Yeah, thank you guys for Bernardo. Yeah, again, maybe we can say Nunes for like one more slot, maybe. But even that might be pushing it, dependent on that. There's not too many non-homegrown slots that become open. Not too many. Maximum, if we are keeping all these players, you're talking like 1 to 3 perhaps. So I do suspect that focus is going to have to be directed to the homegrown market. As I say, it doesn't have to be for every position, certainly for at least 1, depending on quantity of outgoings. That's just something interesting to note, that we have sort of limited ourselves a little bit in that sense. But again, we don't know. As you say, maybe Hayes goes out on loan again. Maybe Barr goes out on loan again. Maybe Echeverri just gets sold / gets loaned out again. This is in the situation where all 3 of them come back. It's just something to note that we might have to explore more homegrown options next season. So yeah, players like Livramento, players like Wharton, that sort of vibe, it might have to be what we are after. Might have to be. Semenyo? I'd be very happy with, I must say, I would be very happy with that as a window. Livramento, Semenyo, throw in a cheeky Water, a cheeky Wharton, and I was going to say 1 more. Can't remember who it was now. Gibbs White, because Bernardo's leaving. Oh, that could be fun. You could have a really good purely homegrown window. If you really wanted to, you could have a really strong purely homegrown window. So that's interesting, isn't it? Yes, Ariaman, he is. Yes, indeed. Bree, he looks destined to go to Liverpool, doesn't he, Bree? Doesn't he? Elise as well, yeah, of course. So look, I don't think that would ever happen. But hey, if we have to pursue this situation, it's just interesting to note there are some good options out there for the positions that we would need to improve, because we know we need a right back. If Bernardo and Kova leaves, you need another midfielder in there, at least 1. And dependent on how Doku does the season, Savio, like who knows, maybe Spurs come in for Savio again next year, and that's the end of it. Or maybe Doku underperforms and he's wants to be moved on. We need a homegrown winger. As I say, someone like Semenyo could be an option because he can play off both sides. And he's really good, isn't he? He is really good. So that's potentially interesting to note. So that was a slight deviation. We were talking about Ait-Nouri, weren't we? And I think we're just having a general chat about the window and all the plays as well, in a bit more detail, I think. A little bit more detail. So yeah, Ait-Nouri, I think I've touched on everything I want to do there. Good signing. Will provide a lot of tactical fluidity. He just needs to get up to speed with understanding that more central role in particular, I think. And he also needs to be supported a little bit more if he's up against like this ridiculously good defensive winger such as a Minter, or even a Saka who has a track record of being very good defensively as well. Like if it turns to a situation where it's Ait-Nouri and Saka's track back to help out Timber at right back, then we're going to need a bit more support and more running in there. So that's good. That's good. Yeah, definitely Fenway. Yeah, it is the international break. So yeah, it is more of a vibe stream. And I think that's fine because I think I prefer the more interactive ones rather than the ones where I have to talk at you for like 30 minutes and try to be entertaining. I can just fall back on the chat. It's a lot easier for me. And hopefully you guys like the interactive nature as well. So yes, Ait-Nouri. Who shall we talk about next? Let me know, guys. Let me know. Because this is, as I say, this is sort of like a what does this signing offer? Are we happy? Have they been good so far? What do they need to improve? How do they improve City? What are their flaws? What are their strengths? That sort of vibe. Were they a perfect signing? Could we have done better? How long will they be here? Ba 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 ba. A silent stream, says Jack. Christ, man. Oh, dearie me. That's not very nice, is it? It's not very nice. Thunder says Morgan Rogers ain't joining. No, I don't. I like Rogers as a player, and I think that he's doing very well at Aston Villa. And there's no doubt that last season he clearly gets into our midfield because our midfield was shocking. But I don't think that Rogers is the sort of player that you want in your team if you're trying to win the Premier League. As like a starter. It's like a squad option, fine. But as like a starter, I would be... what's the term? I don't know what I'm trying to say here. Not... I don't know what the word is. Deflated? Don't know. Not a needle mover. That's a great summation. Yeah, definitely. Dave wants to talk about Shirky next. Yeah, we can do that. Absolutely. Absolutely we can. Nerup says we should pay 80 million for Martin Fernandez. Just very young, isn't he? Relatively inexperienced. Alex says City have a very good team. If Pep manages to find his perfect balance, will be the best team in the world. I think there is a title-winning team here. I know that everyone was down after Brighton, and I was down after Brighton because it was a really bad performance. Even when we were winning, it wasn't good enough, in my opinion. I still think there is a side that can compete here and will look really good in like a few months' time. The question is, by the time it does look really good and it has clicked, will City still be close to the top of the table? I guess that's the question for me. That's the question for me. What happened to Micah Hamilton? He just clearly wasn't good enough. That sounds really harsh, but he just wasn't good enough, was he, ultimately? Yeah, so someone said, let's talk about Shirky. So let's do that now, shall we? Let's do that now, shall we? Again, I don't think that there's too many better options that we could have gone for. People may say Wirtz, but he didn't want to come to us. He wants to go to Liverpool. People could say Baena. I think that's a relevant shout, but he wanted to stay in Spain, allegedly. He's moved to Atletico Madrid. If you're looking at high-volume passing creators, players who will make something happen via the pass, there's not too many better options out there that wanted to come to City than Shirky. So in that sense, in isolation, very happy with it regardless. How has he looked so far? I thought overall he looked good in the Club World Cup. People were having a massive go at him for his debut when I thought he was fine. I thought he was all right. he came more into it as the tournament went on. Looked good when he came on against Wolves. Obviously wasn't available against Brighton. Did some very good work on ball against Spurs. Created a very good chance for Haaland, for example. Dropped deep a lot, which I'm not a fan of, but it may well be that we are going to a style of play where the midfielders have to drop really deep. That might just be the new order, and I don't like that, but that appears to be like the new world order that we are pursuing. So in which case, if that is the case, it's good that he's able to drop that deep. That's fine. I did say that I was a little bit confused about his usage against Spurs to be thrown in as a central midfield, because that's the thing, he wasn't, because I've seen lots of like, this would be my lineup, that sort of thing. And yeah, Herbert, I agree. Lots of people have like this 4-2-3-1 where they got Shirky at the 10, which isn't necessarily like wrong at all. I can't really remember the last time City properly played that off ball. Really, again, I'm sure it has happened. I'm sure I'm misremembering, but it feels like City either have always gone with like a 4-4-2 or a 4-3-3, or at most a 4-1-4-1 over the past however many years. Can't really remember in earnest how many times we've actually played a 4-2-3-1, to be honest with you. But as a concept, sure, fine. I still have issues with it, but fine. But I don't think anyone would have had him as like a right central midfielder, and that's how he was used against Spurs, and that's odd, because there's no reason why he can't, develop into that sort of player. There's no reason why he can't become that sort of off-ball worker. However, it just seems a little bit mad to me to to do that from the off in your first start in the Premier League against Thomas Frank Spurs. That seemed a little bit insane to me. That seemed a little bit mad. So I'm not really confused or surprised that Shirky struggled off ball in that sense and didn't quite understand his pressing role or structure, because he never did that for Lyon, ever. I'd be very impressed if anyone can direct me to a game where he did play in properly central midfield off ball, like ever, really. The only times I ever saw him was right wing, as an attacking midfielder, as a left winger, as a right-sided midfielder, and a left-sided midfielder. And when he was a wide midfielder, it didn't look very good, to be honest with you. So I don't think I've ever seen him play central midfield off ball based on what I've seen of him for Lyon. I've never seen it. If anyone knows that meme, yeah, good for you. So no surprise he didn't play particularly well off ball. Again, I caveat that. Looked good on ball. Created a really good chance for Haaland. Off ball, less so. Now, again, maybe that's just a time thing, and I think that's going to be the recurring theme of this, like, analysis / summation of our window, is that whether we like it or not, and I'm not saying that it's correct that we've put ourselves into this situation, but regardless, it's the reality. Time and patience is going to be paramount for basically all of our new signings for one reason or another, and that's the purpose of this video. That's what we are exploring. It looks like it could be a totally different pressing structure than what Shirky is used to, maybe. Now, what I would like to see, and you guys know my thoughts on this, because there's no reason why the long term he can't become a player who does lead the press and does add that more intensity to his game and does add that central pressing understanding to his game. There's no reason why that can't happen. But right now, that's not the player he is. Does it make sense to throw him in at the deep end and do that to him? I don't think so. I think it makes the most sense to play him where Oscar Bob is being played right now, as against Brighton, where the right back pushes up. That gets the best of both worlds out of Shirky. He's allowed to play in the centre. his best position on ball. He's allowed to play at right wing off ball, his best position off ball based on his time at Lyon. That's what I would like to see. We haven't seen it happen yet. So maybe Pep doesn't even have that in his... Maybe he's like, no, I'm not doing that. You know? And if he's not doing that, then fine. That it just seems like a little bit risky to just, as I say, throw him in at the deep end and give him a totally different pressing rule. I don't know if that's the correct play. Don't know if that's the correct play. He should be playing right wing off ball, really. Again, that's what he was used to at Lyon. That's where he played the vast majority of his out of possession minutes at Lyon. He understands the role there. It also gives him less... what's the term? Less effort is required at right wing in a 4-3-3 as opposed to leading the press as a striker in a 4-4-2. Or in central midfield of a 4-3-3. Or central midfield of a 4-1-4-1. There's far less pressing burden placed on you. It also requires less pressing intelligence and understanding because the touchline acts as another defender. Whereas in the centre, you need to be an owl in respect to pressing. You need to have that level of understanding. He doesn't have that yet. Could develop. It can develop. Why can't it develop? Absolutely it could. But given all the issues at City, given all the players, as I say, this is going to be the common theme, given all the players that we need to bed in, surely it makes the most sense to try to make their job as easy as possible in the interim. So those are my thoughts on Cherki. He is going to be a success. He is going to be a fantastic signing for City. I think he's already shown glimpses of it. He does need to be given that time, patience to understand his out of possession role. I think that's all there is to it. And I view it as a choice. Do you play Bob? Certainly in the early stages of the season and his City career, do you play Bob or do you play Cherki? That's how I view the choice. Personally. That's how I view the choice. Yeah, Bob is more of a central player, AZ. Yeah, definitely. More of an interior player for sure. Think City most definitely needs to target a right back, says Raul. Yes, yes, indeed. Yeah, Isak, that's exactly what I want. Rohan says, surprised Pep was willing to throw Cherki midfield given how cautious he's been over the years. Yeah, it really surprised me, Rohan, to be honest. It really surprised me. But what was interesting was that when Foden kicked, because that's something that I've been like begging to happen to Foden for a while. He's only done it in a few games where he's played off-ball midfield. But when Foden came on, he also played there. So maybe, and we haven't seen enough of a sample size because Foden has either been injured or not fully fit, sadly. Maybe that the writing is on the wall and that actually Foden will be given more of a central situation there, off-ball. Metalli says you don't know how they would do it unless you try them there, but it was too soon. That's what I mean, Metalli, yeah. It can. I'm not saying it should never happen. I'm not saying it can never happen, but the time to do it probably shouldn't be his first Premier League start against Thomas Frank's Spurs, sorry. That's probably not the best time to be trialing it. You know, later in the season, when you're a bit more established with your teammates, etc., when City are in a better position overall, and when like he's just understood his role a little bit more, and against easier opposition, I think that's when you do it. As I say, this felt a bit like being thrown in at the deep end, and I didn't like it. I didn't like that lineup, to be honest. I touched on it on the post-mortem. That wasn't ideal to me. Wasn't ideal. I think our right-hand side will be more solid with Kusanov at right back and Savio as the right wing, says FW. Well, you couldn't play a 2-3 if you did that, or you would have to... Could you play a 2-3? I guess you could. No, you could. You just need a centre-back to go into the midfield. Whether that's Kusanov or someone else. So I guess it could technically work, to be fair. Actually, no, no, wait. Wait, hang on. No. No? Wait. Sorry. One sec. Kusanov starts at right back. Nori pushes up, back three. Yeah, midfielder goes into... Centre-back goes into midfield. Yes. Yes. That's how you do it. In that case, you'd probably want it to be your back four to be Nori, Gvardiol, Stones, Kusanov. Nori pushes up. Gvardiol pushes in. Kusanov, Stones shift across. But then you don't have a left footer. Then you don't have a left footer at left centre back, do you? Don't like that. Don't like that. The alternative is to trust Kusanov to go into the centre. I don't think he's there yet, though. So you'd have to abandon the 2-3, that's all. And, you know, my thoughts on him off ball at right back anyway. I'm not the biggest fan. I had to think there for a second, guys. I don't have, you know, I don't claim to have all the answers or be a tactical, you know it all, because I'm not. I have to think about things. I don't know. I don't know sometimes. I've got to have a little baby think. But hey, he made Ake invert against Spurs. So maybe he'll do that to the right back as well. But either way, I still don't like the idea of him being off ball right back. Like that at all. I don't like that at all, to be honest with you. Play Phillips at right back, this guy. Yeah, so that's on Shirky. That's on Shirky. Anything we wanted to add to the my Shirky discussion? Let me know. Let me know if there's anything else that you want me to cover. Shirky plays very good as a super sub, says football forever. I guess this is like maybe... This isn't something I want to explore, because I do think that Shirky should be... I think Shirky starts in our best team, basically. I think Shirky starts in our best team. But there is certainly a conversation about, well, he's still very young. He doesn't have to be a definite recognised starter week in, week out. There's definitely an argument to be made. It's not an argument I would personally pursue, but it's certainly one that could be argued. Again, one I would push back on and argue against, but it's a conversation that can be had. It's a conversation that can be had, but... sorry, there's a white van outside. It might be the biggest van in the world. Oh, it's just driving away. Okay, Faz. You're not going to deliver anything to me? Okay. I've not ordered anything, so I don't know why it would. Good for you, Toby. How you doing, mate? Shirky should / will become the key to unlocking Haaland against passing's top class. Absolutely. And this is why I wanted to start. Once again, I'm a big fan of Shirky, and I'd love him to start consistently and be one of the main starters in the side. It's just about utilising him properly in his relatively tender City career. That's all. So that's Shirky. I don't think I need to cover anything else there. That's another... To me, that's another... Especially given context of De Bruyne going in, not being able to get Verts or Bayern not being feasible for one reason or another. Shirky seems like a slam dunk signing. Just seems to make a lot of sense to me. So that's Shirky. Reinders, I think I should do next. And then we'll obviously touch on the goalkeeper, our latest sign. Trafford as well, I guess we can touch on him slightly, but obviously we'll go to Donnarumma after as well. Make sure you're leaving a like on the video, by the way, chaps. How many likes are we on? I can already tell it's not enough. It's actually quite good, to be fair. Okay. Got away with it this time, yeah? But if I ever catch you guys not paying your like rent again, you're barred. Yeah? You're barred. Leave a like on the video. So yeah, Reinders. Or I'll come to the chat, actually, because people are asking questions, and then we'll come to Reinders. Zerf says, I think Bar will be a mainstay in the team next year. Is it too soon for him, though? He's still very raw, inexperienced. I'm excited at the concept of Bar because he's such like a monster in the air in particular, and he looks like he's doing good. I wonder, like, should we do a Saliba, and should we give him another year just to develop before introducing him? Is that what we should do? I'm not sure. I guess it depends on the centre-back landscape. Like, because Stones might be gone. Ake might be gone, in which case you need to bring in 2 centre-backs. Do you then trust Hasan Bar, or do you make a decision one or the other? That sort of thing. Oh, excuse me. Hopefully I muted myself in time. Ooh, we paid our rents, Faisal, yeah. Paid like rents as Yanko, yeah, definitely. Burner Dish Soap. Why can't we play a 3-1-4-2? It's like a 3-1. Is that like a 3-1-6 then? Battered Liverpool 5-0 last. Oh, sorry. Oh, right. You're going very far back to. You're going all the way back to 2017. I just don't. We don't actually know what Pep would have done that season beyond that game. But as far as I'm aware, that was the only example I can think of where Pep played a proper 3-5-2. I can't think of many other examples of him doing that. That was off ball and on ball as well, if memory serves. I think that's the key, isn't it? The fact that it was off ball as well. There was a Mane red card. But to be fair, even before the red card, we were 1-0 up. And we looked at the better side. And it worked because it got the best use out of Mendy, who had a great game. It got the best use out of, having both Jesus and Aguero on the pitch at the same time. And I liked the idea at the time. And again, I think that's because Pep was, at that time, he was still umming and ahhing about how can I accommodate both Jesus and Aguero. I love Jesus off ball. Aguero at that point maybe wasn't giving it to him as much. We know that Aguero did go on to improve his pressing ridiculously, and Jesus never really got back into the side like that anyway, because there was a time where Aguero's starting position was actually at risk for a moment there. I guess, why hasn't he done it in that same way as against Liverpool, as you're outlining? I guess the key difference is that it was a 3-5-2 off ball as well. So I don't know what the exact team would have been that day, but I'm assuming it would have been like Mendy at left wing back, Walker at right wing back, and then I'm guessing Otamendi, Stones, Company. I don't know. I can't remember what the team was, but I would assume there were 3 centre-backs that day. And then, so 5 defenders on the pitch, basically. We just don't... I don't know if we've got the squads to do that right now, to be honest with you. I don't know if we've got the squad to do that right now. It's an interesting question, though. It is an interesting question, because that would solve, like, the width problem, because you'd have... Obviously, your width depth purely coming from wing backs. Nori would thrive in that. Nunes would also probably thrive in that, to be fair. You could argue it gets better use out of Marmoush being a second striker. You can play a pure 10 if you do that, like in Shirky, far more easily anyway. I don't know if we've got the midfielders for it, though. You would need Rodri and, like... You would need Rodri plus a midfielder that we don't have at the club right now, basically, I think, in order to do that. Like, you need a pure running destroyer vibe of midfielder, like a Kante sort of vibe, or a Caicedo, or a Baleba. I think that would be pretty significant to play that. Good. I like the question, though. It's an interesting question. Don't really see it happening, though, to be honest, as I say. Don't think we've got the squad for it either. Yeah, so I don't know if that was the correct back 3, but that's how it could maybe work. Good question. I like that question. It's an interesting one. Just don't think it's realistic, sadly. Yeah. Reinders. That's what I want to touch on now. Reinders. Ooh, don't know why I said that. Once again, I think this is the most slam dunk of all the signings we've made. I don't think that there was any better option out there that we could have realistically got other than Reinders. I feel like he was the one, you know. We weren't going to get Bruno G. Wasn't going to happen. We got Reinders. I don't think that that's necessarily a problem. So that's a beautiful time had by all. It's a beautiful time had by all. He has been struggling past couple of games. Struggling. Oh, Danilo Stone's automated, so Danilo is right centre back. That's interesting. Thank you, Naveen. I don't know why I predicted Company, to be fair. Like, he was injured quite a lot that season. I think he only started like 17 games in the league because he was just a bit injury prone towards the end, wasn't he? Yeah, so yeah, Ryan's a slam dunk signing. Love him. But yeah, he is now. This is understandable to an extent. Now, I was a little bit taken aback at how good he looked against Wolves, because I knew he was good. Like, I knew he was that good. I guess I was just a little bit surprised it happened so quickly. So I wasn't surprised at what I saw. It was more so the time scale. And even at the Club World Cup, it's like, oh my goodness, it looks like he's been here for years. Like, what's happening here? What's happening? But obviously, the past 2 games, it's been less so. It's been less so. I think that's just because he's had less space in those 2 games. Yeah, definitely Matali. That's it as well. There's a number of factors. I don't think it's a surprise that he looked a lot better against Wolves when he was in a more advanced area of the pitch, and he had more time on the ball, and he had more space to make the decisions as well. Even that first goal against Wolves, like, it's a fantastic bit of small space work from Reinders, but he's got loads of time to assess the situation and go, right, this is what I'm going to do. So the evolution in Reinders' play, exactly, Ariman, he's just adjusting, is just getting used to the tempo and intensity of the Premier League. And it's the recurring theme. Time and patience is the only answer there. There's nothing else we can really do outside of wait for him to adjust and get used to it. That's all. I think it's as simple as that. And hopefully it will come. And I'm sure it will come. There's no reason why it won't. A player like Wirtz, for example, he's been getting a lot of criticism. Trust me, like, he's going to be one of the best players in the Premier League. But likewise, he will need time to adjust. It doesn't happen overnight for every single footballer. Some players struggle to go from one league to another because you don't have as much time on the ball in the Premier League. It's a far faster league. It's a far more intense, direct, aggressive league as well. Time is a thing. Patience is a thing. It will come. It will come. And he'll have less time and space on the ball in a deeper role, but he will become that good as well. So Reinders, for me, is like a 10 out of 10. Not a problem. He's going to be fantastic. Absolutely. He's already illustrated that if you give him enough space, he can be that sort of player. Long term, I think, given all the other really good, like, more offensive players at the club, his long-term future should be in that position, as against Spurs, as against Brighton, with the option of being a more advanced player as against Wolves. But in the main, I think that his ceiling will be in a deeper area of the pitch, as we've seen. Just need to get him up to speed. That's all it is. That's all it is. And it will happen. It'll come with time. So I've got zero qualms about Reinders. Perfect signing for me. Perfect Gundogan replacement. And just, I think back to all the amazing players at City who required a season to adapt. Not everyone needs a season. Like, Kevin De Bruyne didn't need a season. David Silva didn't really need a season. You know? Sami Nasri didn't really need a season in relative terms. And he was on the bench a lot, but he was still great that season. His first season. Didn't need one. But some players do. You know? Rodri needed a bit of time. Reinders is simply one of those players. That's all. It's not a concern. It's not a problem. It's fine. It will come. It's all good. Fuming says, I realise our midfielders are slow at defending the transition. Yeah. Again, Reinders will be good at that. But he's not like this demon. Liverpool fields a 16-year-old scores to win it. We loan out the 20 to 21-year-olds. Very different situation, though, to be fair. Like, Liverpool are already Liverpool are already there. They're title winners. And they've already got a very good squad. And they can sort themselves out. They've already got that core in there, haven't they? They've already got the core. But now, but City now don't really have that. So it's very different. I don't think it's fair to compare them. He struggled to get the ball in large parts of each game, including Wolves. It will come with time, like you say, says Jeremy. I think so, anyway. You can tell me guys know football if they think Wirtz is a flop. Yeah. Again, just wait. In the Bundesliga, he'll have had more time on the ball to assess his options. And he'll have also had like less players onto him as quickly. Very different in the Premier League. Adaptation is a thing. Now, to be fair, some players can't adapt to that. Like Jadon Sancho was one of those players. He just could not adapt to having less time and space as compared to in the Bundesliga. And then like his career just went down the tube therein. Hasn't yet happened for him. So some players aren't able to make that shift, but some players clearly are good enough to do that. Welcome to Chelsea's world where we buy project players and hope they become good, says Fox. That's the situation we're in, though. That is the situation we are in right now. I no longer think Nico G, Roger Reinders is too defensive the way our defense is coping right now, says Metalli. Let's discuss the medical stuff. I feel like something is wrong because the injuries are now not a matter of old people. Hopefully lots of players will be back after the international break for sure. Look at City in 17-18. We had the core to give game time to 17-year-old Foden and Brahim Diaz. Yes, absolutely. It's a lot easier to do that and just like throw in a young player every now and then if you are already there. You know? I haven't watched the Bundesliga for a few years now, but do they really have that much more time and space? Wasn't a modern form of pressing we have now popularized in Germany. Whenever I seem to watch them, certainly, Toby, yeah. It's also to do with intensity as well. I think that's the key difference as well. It's also to do with intensity. And I don't know the data in front of me, but in respect to like the sprints, Premier League is on a different level compared to every other one. And I think that's not just on-ball sprints, that's also off-ball sprints as well. So I think they go hand in hand. He'll be a success, but paying that fee, he has to be a success. Some players just don't work out, even top class. Says Brie, he will work out. I'm very convinced of that. Don't you worry. Don't you worry. When do you think Reinders will be competent enough to play as an 8 out of possession? Asks Faisal. I think that... What do I think? I think... As Rodri... There are lots of ifs here, like lots of time things. But as Rodri... Because Rodri looked good against Brighton, but he still wasn't 100% there. When he gets even sharper, I think that will elevate Reinders. And I think maybe from there, it may just be a space of only a few games needed in the role, and then he'll be there. Nico G and Rodri pivot will solve the defense, says Godry. I don't know. For reasons we'll get on into, I'm not sure. Maybe. Tahiti, are you from the 70s? Big up. Thank you for treating us with dignity and not making fun of us. I only make fun of people who are like rude to me. Or like say batshit insane things and are almost like asking to be ridiculed. You know what I mean? Like, if someone says, Rodri is bad at defending, then you deserve to be ridiculed. Do you know what I mean? Or if you're like, your opening gambit is something really incendiary and aggressive and rude, then I'll respond in kind. And if you want to be a dickhead to me, I'll be a dickhead to you. But, you know, totally Tahiti. Like, if people ask sincere questions or are earnest people, then I'll be very kind back. I'll match the energy, basically. I'm a mirror, yeah? If someone's a dick to me, I'll be a dick back. If someone's nice to me, I'll be nice back. I just match the energy. DC Gundo went from Barca to Galatasaray today. Wait, what? I'm so confused. I don't know, Eric. It's not working today, I'm afraid. It's not working today. Indeed, Matthew. That's another one, yeah. Insane. I wonder what role Kovacic is going to play this season. Hopefully the bench. That sounds harsh, but you know, if that, I look at him as one of the surplus to requirements players. If we sold him this summer, fine. I don't even think you need to sell Kova and get a replacement, to be honest. Like that sounds really mean, but that's where I would view his current standing. You get me? Do I believe Rodri will extend? Yeah, hopefully, yeah. We need to sort out Rodri. We need to sort out Foden. We need to get them extended ASAP, because I think they've only got 2 years left, I think. We're getting into dangerous territory. We need to sign them up ASAP. So yeah, so that's Ainori, that's Shirky, that's Reinders. Lovely. It's just the goalkeepers now, isn't it? Because we're just talking about the summer signing. So let's touch on the goalkeepers now. Now, I'm not going to be doing a Trafford analysis video, because there's no point. I don't accept when people are saying that. I don't accept that there is competition. I know some people have said, oh, it's good for competition. No. You always have a designated number 1 and a designated number 2. And let's all be honest with ourselves. You don't sign Donnarumma to sit on the bench. You don't make Donnarumma, allegedly, the highest earning goalkeeper in the world, certainly Europe, and say, you're here for competition. No. It's not how it works. It's not how it works. Let's be practical here, guys. No. That's not how it works. It's not going to happen. Donnarumma is City's number 1. Trafford is City's number 2. There is no competition. If there is, it is artificial and it is a smokescreen. There is no competition. So there will be no Trafford analysis video, because I do not care to make an analysis video on a second choice goalkeeper. I apologise if you did want a Trafford video, but there's no point. There will be a Donnarumma video though. So having Trafford as a backup, so let's touch on Trafford for a moment. So having Trafford as a backup is amazing. First of all, like, that's brilliant. He is good enough, I believe, to be a lot of Premier League teams' number 1 goalkeeper. So I guess it's a similar thing with, you know, Ortega. He was already a really good option. He could have been a number 1 for many Premier League sides. Now we have that in Trafford, which is great. So that's lovely. So this season, I think that's perfect. He's going to be a really good number 2. He'll play some cup games, obviously. Like, he'll play like the early League Cup and FA Cup games. Maybe he'll even play late stage cup games as well. Like, if we get to, it might be like a Caballero situation where, even though Joe Hart was the number 1, Pellegrini was like, no, I've got my cup goalkeeper. I don't care if we're in the League Cup final. I'm playing Caballero, and he was proven that was the correct decision, because Caballero saved us in the penalty shootout, didn't he? So maybe he will just be the absolute goalkeeper in that sense. As I say, League Cup, FA Cup, maybe an occasional Premier League game, like at home against Burnley, something like that, his old club, something like that. It wouldn't surprise me if he started the derby. It wouldn't surprise me if that were the case, for a number of reasons, mainly political. Pep always plays cup keepers to the end. Well, there you go. Yeah, you are right, to be fair, yeah, because he had Bravo was in the League Cup final one time, wasn't he? That's right, I think. Pretty sure. I think that's the thing. Although Edison played the... Did Edison play... Oh no, did Ortega play? I can't even remember. Who started in the FA Cup final last year? Was it Ortega? I actually can't remember. I had a lot to drink, to be fair, guys. Like, you got to let me off there. Come on. Maybe it was Ortega. Yeah, so in which case, yeah, Trafford's going to be that guy. And maybe a few early stage Champions League games. And of course, if Donnarumma gets injured, then Trafford obviously comes in. But generally speaking, Trafford is definitely the number 2. You do not bring in Donnarumma on the wage he's going to be on to not make him the number 1 as soon as possible. It's not happening. It's just not. It's not competition. It's reality. And I suspect that Trafford will not be a City player next year. That's my prediction, that he won't be here next year. So that's Trafford. There's not too much to say. Backup goalkeeper. I think he's looked good, by the way, for what it's worth. I think he's looked good. In the games he's had, of course, he made that silly error against Spurs, but can't really blame his shot stopping. I think that's been fantastic. I think his distribution's been good for the most part. He's looked a bit shaky with the long passing. That was an area he would need to improve on. That would have been an area I touched on in the analysis video, but as it is, there's no point. So that's Trafford. One of the best number 2s in the Premier League for this season. That's lovely. We probably will... No, I would be willing to bet a significant amount of money that we will sell Trafford next season. I don't know how much money I'd bet, but I'd be willing to bet a significant amount of money he won't be here next year, and we need to get another second choice goalkeeper. That's my prediction. So that takes us to the final signing of the window. Now, oh, sorry, I should come to the chat, shouldn't I, before we do that? Let's see what you guys are saying. I just hope Trafford doesn't leave after this season. Jeremy, it seems inevitable to me personally. Bido asks, has Ortega left? Not yet. It was a mistake releasing Carson. Genius. Yeah, Ortega's not left, says Mohammed. Yeah, for sure. He will leave. Hopefully, like a Turkish club or a Saudi club comes in for him, that sort of thing. I'm very surprised no one punted for him in the Premier League, though. Or maybe they did and he didn't want to go. I don't know what the landscape was, but he could start for so many Premier League clubs if he wants to stay in the Premier League. I don't know. I'm amazed he's not... Like a German club didn't come in for him. Mental God says, is Donna even going to be ready for the derby? The reason why I think Trafford's going to start is because even though I know that there is no competition, and I think we all know there is no competition, I do believe the story, which I think was Ornstein, I do believe the story that Trafford came in and they basically said to him, right, the current landscape of is this. Edison's going to be the main number 1 next year. We're going to transition you in, and then from next year, you're going to be the number 1. I believe that is what happened, based on common sense, and also based on like what the journalists who in the knows whatever Ross is saying, as Ornstein, that sort of thing. So the reason why I think he probably will, and spoilers for my tactical preview, the reason I think he will start against United is to create this. Because if that is the official position, that there is competition, then you can't just immediately drop him, because that creates issues from a political perspective, doesn't it? So you can't immediately drop him. So you have to start him as if to say, look, there is real competition here. I'm giving you the game here. I'm giving you the game against United. And Donnarumma will be on the bench. That's my prediction for that game. Donnarumma will then start against Napoli, and I think from there, Donnarumma will just become the number 1. That's my prediction. So that's how I think that's how I believe the landscape will look. That's how I think the sequence of events will unfold. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it would just be Donnarumma immediately in. Not sure, but that would be my prediction, suspicion as well. Vasco says Donnarumma is number 1, period. Oh yeah, 100%. How much do we sell Trafford next summer? 30 million? Something like that, I don't know. Something like that. What do we think of the statements of Pep letting the wingers be free, allowing them to be in free room at the wing, than this thing of always passing back? We've always known that Pep likes his attackers to express themselves and problem solve themselves. Because at the end of the day, Pep Guardiola is obviously a genius, etc. But Cherki is a better passer of the ball than Guardiola ever was. And he's a far better creator than Guardiola ever was. So it would be a bit weird for Pep to be saying to Cherki, this is what I want you to do exactly in the final third. At that point, he's sort of got to accept that Cherki is the expert and that he knows what he's doing. So there's a reason why in interviews he'll always say, basically, look, sure, like I set up the team, I tried to get them to play well and be cohesive with one another, whatever. But ultimately, when it comes to like, creating and scoring goals, like the players have to sort of solve that themselves. Now, again, you can put them in a certain structure, But ultimately, it's for the players to figure that one out. What can you do if Eddie comes to you and says, I want to leave, though? Says Musty. So, well, okay, in the Nobbins, I've been told that that's not what happened. Whether that's true, I don't know, but that's what I've been told. I've been told that it wasn't the case that Edison came and said, I want to leave. Yeah. Pep creates robots with no creativity, yeah. Rowan said, hello, Rowan. I agree it's not a competition. I hope Pep gets tired of Donnarumma. Oh, gosh, I hope not. I hope he succeeds, mate. The idea of players solving it themselves is a very Cruyff idea, says Toby. And we know that Guardiola is a Cruyff disciple, don't we? We know that is a thing. That's a thing. So, yeah, so that's Trafford. That's Trafford. So now Donnarumma. Now, I will be going into far more detail. There's a fly just fucking come in here. I will be going into far more detail in my analysis video, which I'm hopeful will be out by the end of this week. What I was also thinking is that in advance of that video being released, let me know if this would be a fun idea. Because even though I am being a lot more positive on the deal, my concerns are still there, of course. My concerns are still there. And I still think it's an odd signing. I keep trying very hard, but I still think fundamentally it's an odd signing. Would this be a fun idea for a stream if on Friday's Touchline Talk, we do one of those change my mind things, and I give you guys like an option to come onto the stream, a call-in show basically. It probably wouldn't be video, just like your audio, so you don't have to worry about, you know, your physical. I know some people don't like to come on because of video, so you can come on just for the audio, and you can like give your thoughts, and you can like change my mind, or like try to help me see a different perspective. Would that be a good idea to do? Let me know, and we can definitely do that. Because I know some people like struggle to provide like counters. Just it is an unfair. I understand it is an unfair power position. I'm here speaking at you. You guys are delayed. You can only type stuff, so it's not a really fair debate circumstance. Like, I get that. Doesn't mean I'm not going to exploit it. But would that be a better thing? So if you're, as I say, certainly. No, this is the thing, Brie. This is the thing. I'm always open to change my mind, and I've been trying my hardest to convince myself of that. So I'm going to disagree, Brie. I'm always willing to do that. And in fact, I have changed my mind a lot. Well, B, you can call into the show, mate. You can call into the show, and you can try to convince me. And as I say, I'm totally, sincerely willing to have my mind changed. I'm yet to see an answer which I'm personally happy with, but as I say, maybe it's just that. And it's not going to be a debate. Like, I'm not going to try to counter you or anything. Like, really, I'm not going to try to convince you. We're going to try to explore what you're saying and try to apply it and see like what the ultimate outcome is, and that sort of thing. So it's not going to be you say that and I go, oh, well, actually, that's not the vibe I want to go with. I want it to be more like a you say your piece and then we explore that a little bit more, rather than me just like countering it and going, no, actually, that sort of thing. I don't want it to be like that. Do you know what I mean? Some master debaters. Yeah, and if you dare disagree with me, you're getting banned. Yeah, no, obviously not. So I think that would be a fun idea to do. So we will explore it in a bit more detail. Excuse me, there's nothing in this glass. I'm still gonna have the last little bit. So we will explore it in a bit more detail on Friday, and of course, whenever I get the analysis video done, we'll do that as well. But in brief, what are the thoughts? And I like that you guys like the idea. We will do that definitely on Friday. Call-in show. Change my mind. I'll see if you know that dickhead right-wing nutter who had that. I don't know. I think that women shouldn't have rights. Change my mind. He said some bullshit. I don't know what it was exactly, but you know that meme where it's like that change my mind thing. Maybe the thumbnail would be like that. I'll Photoshop my face onto his, and it'll be, I think that Donnarumma signing is odd. Change my mind, that sort of thing. Maybe that'll be fun to do. I'll look into that as a potential thumbnail. We'll make some good use out of that idiot right winger. Yeah, we'll do something. Make some good will come out of it. Yeah, some good will come out of it. But in brief, because I do want to wrap up within like the next 10-ish minutes, 10 to 15 minutes, that sort of thing. You guys all know my thoughts by now. I think that Donnarumma is a fantastic goalkeeper. I think that there are games where he has illustrated that he is one of, if not the best shot stoppers in the world. There have definitely been some games where that is warranted. As I'll explore in the video, so far, from what I've seen, from all the evidence I've seen, there are two Donnarummas. There is the Donnarumma who is what you saw against Arsenal, what you saw against Aston Villa, what you saw in that second leg against Liverpool. Any other obvious examples? I feel like those are the obvious ones that everyone refers back to. There is that version of Donnarumma. And that is what we need, obviously, and clearly. That's the version of Donnarumma that we need. Because whilst my build-up concerns are still in existence, I could accept that the trade-off is worth it, because you are sacrificing a lot. You just are. But I can accept that that trade-off is worth it if that is the Donnarumma you are getting. And as I say, that's like version number 1. That's a great one as well, Makanga. Yes, in the Euros as well, to be fair. If that's the Donnarumma that you're getting, perfect. Well, not perfect, but I would accept the trade-off at that point. Because you are basically saying, okay, yeah, there's going to be some deficiencies in build-up. It's not going to be as good as it was before. There are going to be sacrifices there. But this is what but that's what we said at the top of the show. Like, going back to White Nori. Okay, he's not amazing defensively. He's not like this world-class defensive player. But look what he offers going forwards. That trade-off is worth it to me. And I could be convinced to have that trade-off be... And in fact, I would convince myself that trade-off is worth it to me. The problem is that the Donnarumma that I've just described, that is not... No. Let me rephrase. This Donnarumma has not been seen consistently enough over the past few years and over the course of his career. Sometimes it's seen in great moments, of course, that was just outlined. And as I say, this Donnarumma is arguably the best goalkeeper in the world purely because of his shot stopping. Okay? So this is, as I say, this is what I want. But far too often, this Donnarumma actually exists. And what this Donnarumma is a goalkeeper who has a tendency to make bad errors in respect of shot stopping, in bad moments, and in respect of dominance of his box and area. This Donnarumma, I see this player far too often over the course of his career. Jack. This has to be eliminated. That has to be eliminated for me. Because otherwise, you actually do not know what you're going to get on the day. This is what I'm hopefully this makes sense. I do believe there are two different versions of this player. One we want, one we certainly do not. And if this is the version that we get, which, as I say, we've seen too frequently based on his career so far, then that means that all the sacrifices you have made not good enough. Not good enough. Do you see what I mean? It's not good enough. Name 5 Bozo moments of Donna if you are so right. Okay? 1 second. I don't want to misquote myself. Don't want to misquote myself, do I? Where is it? Or did I delete the notes? That's a shame. What if I go into my recently deleted? I might have to get it off the top of my head now. That's very frustrating. So I was going to give you the players as well. Yeah, I can't find it. That's fucking annoying. I did tweet it, to be fair. If you can find the tweet, you know, it's more accurate. But there was a Liverpool one in the grokking it. Yeah, there was a Liverpool one against Harvey Elliott. There was an Atletico Madrid one. Can't recall the goal scorer. There was a Norway one against Sorloth. There was one against Nice, of which I can't recall the goal scorer, but the ball went under him. Sonic there were 2 against Arsenal in the group stages, where he came for the ball and just got it horribly wrong. That's... In recent years, they were all from this season, Arup. They were all from this season. So, yeah. That's the point I'm trying to make. All those, and I can name more. I don't have my notes with me, sadly. I thought I did. Clearly not. I tweeted them last week, I think, if you want to go find them. You can search it, can't you? I think if you search Nice, it might come up, because I'm sure I would have typed in Nice against Nice. Or maybe Atletico. I don't know. Maybe if you search my Twitter, Atletico or something. So they're 6, and as I say, that's all from this season. And there's more from this season. This is the point I'm trying to make. This Donnarumma sometimes comes out too much, based on the last few years of his career. If he can eliminate that and be purely this, if he can eliminate that and be purely this, then that is worth it. And that is ideal, and that is lovely. But we can't bury our heads in the sand. We do have to accept that, and hopefully you guys do accept, that what I've described, this Donnarumma does exist. Can we all accept that? Well, we've seen it, surely. If you've watched Donnarumma, you'll have seen it. Sometimes the bozo errors are impossible to ignore, sometimes. If he's able to eliminate that, then we can have a great time. But right now, the consistency over the course of his career is not yet there to be this week in, week out consistently. And yes, Fenway, every goalkeeper makes errors. Of course they do. But there's a difference between it happening once every now and then, and I've just been able to rattle off 6 goals, basically off the top of my head, from this season. In fact, that was in like the past, I think that was like the final 3 months of the season. That's not even the early bits of the season where there were even more issues. So as I say, we can't bury our heads in the sand. We have to accept. No, but this isn't the compilation thing, Herbal. I've watched the games. I've not watched a compilation. I've watched the games. We have to accept that this player exists. If you can't accept this player exists, then there's no point of us having a conversation, because that tells me that you're not actually willing to accept any player's deficiencies. It is an objective reality that this player exists. The question is, can we eliminate this player, and can this player take over? That's the big question. And it's a question that we actually don't know the answer to until the league starts. Based on precedent, this happens too much. but there's no reason why he can't eliminate this player and turn more into this player. That's the bright side. That's what we have to look into as a positive. That's the framing of the argument that we should be going to. Not, well, that player doesn't exist. No, that's not true. This player does exist. We just need to hope that we see more of this one than that one, and this one becomes far more consistent and prevalent over his City career. And that's what I'm hopeful of. And I would like to think that that will happen. I'd like to think that will happen. Because again, this Donnarumma is arguably the best goalkeeper in the world. Certainly best shot stopper in the world. This one isn't. And that's, and to be fair, that's just on being, you know, a shot stopper slash shot preventer slash dominating your box. Of course, we've not really spoken about the on-ball stuff as well, but that's something I'll explore in a bit more detail there. Don't worry about the fists, it's fine. Don't worry about it. It's all good. So yeah, hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully you guys got some value out of it. Is there a way we can build it from the back with Donnarumma without dropping a midfielder back? No. Don't think so. I don't think so. But Herbal, if you watched all the games from like his past few years, then you'd know that what I'm saying is correct. And the comparison to Ederson doesn't... The reason why I don't accept the comparison to Ederson is because we know what is offered elsewhere. And we sort of have accepted over the past 8 years that that will sometimes happen, but you know what you're getting here. The point is with this signing is that you have to be getting this. Otherwise, the trade-off doesn't become worth it. It's a bit of a false equivalence there, I'm afraid. It doesn't really work. Yeah, because the sacrifice isn't the same. It isn't the same. As I say, I'm hopeful that we will get more of this player, but again, guys, you really just need to accept that this player does exist sometimes, and sometimes it does exist far too frequently. But I'm hopeful that we will see more of the former rather than the latter. Guys, don't spam. What are we doing here? What we're doing here? Yuval Ramo. It looks like you've had to have your message deleted. Don't spam. Don't spam. Come on, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Fireborn asks, what... I don't want to wrap it up. I do want to wrap it up shortly, chat, because we have been live for basically 90 minutes. What system does Donnarumma fit in well? What do we need the team to do to make Donnarumma fit in? I would say that one of two things has to happen. And again, this is something I'll explore more so on Friday. I'll do it in brief here. Let's all accept, please, that more teams are going to be more confident in pressing against us and are going to be more confident in disrupting our build-up. Let's just accept that is a reality. Let's accept that that is a reality. Yeah? What I was saying now. What was I saying? The thought literally just went out of my brain. Literally, what did I just say? Except what's a reality? What's wrong with me? What did I literally just say? Chat, help me out. What did I say? Oh, yeah, no, I got it. Thank you. We must accept that other teams are going to be a lot more confident and comfortable in pressing us, and more comfortable and confident in disrupting our build. Yeah, sorry, I did malfunction there. I'm back now. I'm back. I got it. Now, what does this mean in respect of solution? Yeah, thanks, guys. I'm such an idiot. This, I can see two solutions. And big up John McKenzie, because we've been chatting about this. And he tends to agree. So, you know, the bold fraud agrees with me. Yeah, so big up to John. Option number 1 is something that I don't believe we can do. And that option is something I tweeted out the other day. Option number 1 is you accept that you are going to have to become a bit more reliant on hoofs, long balls, essentially, to get rid of the pressure, to get rid of the ball. You are going to have to rely on it being played out to the midfield or to the attack to contest an aerial duel or a second ball or a loose ball, that vibe. I am not sure that we have the players to do that. Because really, to do that, what you should be building your midfield as is you want to ensure your midfield is full of ball winners, duel winners, aerial monsters, loose ball, second ball demons, recovery experts, players with an insane amount of like intensity in their pressing as well. That's probably what you need. Now, had we signed like Belabor and Morgan Gibbs-White and who else? Like a Caicedo type or a Fernandinho type or a Kante type or a Declan Rice type, then I think that makes a hell of a lot of sense. Because you know that this long ball is no longer a 50-50. If you have players, as I say, like Rice, like Belabor, Caicedo, Kante, whoever, contesting these challenges. That's no longer a 50-50, is it? That is, if you've got all of those players, it's probably more like a 70-30, maybe even an 80-20 in your favour, if you win the initial ball, like a header or whatever, and then it's seconds. If you've got second ball specialists, you win it. And that's actually a really good thing, because in one fell swoop, you have bypassed the opponent's press, and you have essentially assured yourself of still retaining the ball and gaining territory at the same time. So it's win-win. You've got out of a dangerous situation, you got out of the first phase of build-up really easily, and now immediately you're in the second phase. And now you can progress, and all of a sudden, the goalkeeper becomes a non-factor. That's one way it could be done. That I've tried to identify. But as I tweeted, we don't have those players at the club, really. Unless, like, players like Reinders, Foden, Bob, Shirky, sort of, I don't know how this would happen, if they somehow, like, take their game to a ridiculous level and just, like, turn into these second ball monsters out of nowhere, then sure, I guess, but at that point, I guess you could say anything could happen. Based on the players they are, that's not really how this squad has been built. Once again, had we signed a different profile of midfielder, it would make a bit more sense. Maybe if you do that, you would have to properly double down on... But even then, I don't know if a Rodri, Nico, Reinders midfield is going to be enough to play that way consistently. Because you can't make it 50-50. It has to be favourable to you. If City start making every single long ball 50-50, then something bad has happened. And you failed in respect of, like, you're building up from the back. So that's option number 1. Option number 2 is more realistic given what City are right now. And option number 2 is to double down, triple down, quadruple down on playing your best ball-playing players, and playing your best first touch players, and playing your best press-resistant players. Why? Because again, if we are operating in this world where players are pressing us more intently, and it's not like, oh, but then they'll leave Haaland man-to-man, we've lost Ederson's kicking, so that's a non-point for me. And even if you're like, I guess you could technically play it to like a defender to do that, but it just doesn't seem realistic to me. I'm not sure. You do what PSG did in the games where they had to do it, and in those sorts of games, you sacrifice a midfielder. Eric, Nico G is a good ball winner, but Rodri Reinders ain't going to be enough, I don't think, and the supporting cast ain't going to be enough either. I really don't think that. Yeah, PSG sacrificed in the harder games a midfielder, usually Vitinha, sometimes João Neves, sometimes Ruiz, whoever, sometimes multiple players, to drop from the midfield, to drop really deep, sometimes like deeper, even deeper than the defenders, and basically pick the ball up from Donnarumma, and now that he's like actually not even really involved in the build-up outside of like really basic safe passes, not being asked to do anything in particular. Now, the problem with that, and the reason why maybe that's not as optimal, even though it is optimal based on what City have in respect to their players, the first thing you have to do is you have to accept that, and this isn't necessarily a bad thing, but some players are going to play a hell of a lot more than others. And I don't have a problem with this, by the way. I don't have a problem with this. Aït-Nouri, Stones, Gvardiol, Lewis, Foden, Bob, Shirky, Rodri, Reinders, all have to start basically every single game, I would argue, if that's the policy. Because Núñez, massive liability on ball. Nico hasn't quite got the press resistance yet. Other options. Yeah, I think that you would have to really significantly double, triple, quadruple down on those small space players. And yeah, Ryan, it is interesting that we have seen Bernardo and Rodri do that already, and Reinders do it as well. Lewis, yes, because he's very good on ball. He's far better on ball than Núñez. Now, yeah, obviously they don't all have to start every single game, but you would have to definitely, to make it optimal in the way I'm talking about, you would have to double, triple, quadruple down. I think there would have to be an emphasis on dropping players back and ensuring your best ball players are on the pitch and your best small space operators are on the pitch as well. I can't see any other way of doing it. You can't afford there to be... Because if you're dropping your midfield to do that, you're accepting that your goalkeeper is a weak link in build-up. So there can't be any weak link anywhere else in the build-up chain. You can't have two weak links in this chain. So the rest of the build-up chain has to be spot on and really, really efficient and really, really good. So that's how you can potentially mitigate it, but are PSG and City the same? And the answer to that question is no, they aren't. Because when PSG were doing that, let's take this example. Let's have named this wasn't always these players, but I'm using them as an example. So if we are saying that okay, Vitinha drops from the midfield to hold Donnarumma's hand in the build-up, whatever. What has happened now is you have lost a number in the midfield, like obviously. Because your midfielders had to drop. Clearly. That's bad. Because now, once it gets to the midfield, once you've got past that first phase, you're outnumbered. And the other team are onto you immediately. They know they have the numerical edge. So how did PSG circumvent that? Well, they didn't really have a proper striker, did they? They had, as you say, they had whoever was like playing as the striker, often Dembele. Because he's not really a striker, and because his technical ability is actually really solid, it didn't matter that he dropped deep, almost like a false nine, to create that numerical edge. And then it didn't matter. And then from there, you haven't lost anything. The difference is that whilst Haaland's game has been improving in that sense, it is nowhere near the level of what PSG were asking their strikers to do. And it is a very different circumstance. Very different. I don't know if I can be convinced that Haaland can do that consistently, game after game after game, week after week, to the level required. And that would be where a concern comes in. Now, if he can, because he can do it to a decent level, but we know we can't do it to like a truly elite level. I think that would be required, because once again, players are onto him. Now, if he can do it, then actually, it's not a problem. And it would actually be quite a nice situation to have. Again, look at PSG. They clearly made it work to an extent over the 2 years where Enrique had Donnarumma at the club. But once again, City and PSG are not the same team. So I don't know if it's as straightforward as, well, just do that. Just do what PSG did. Because again, we have Haaland on the team. And he's a striker, and you want him in the box. Ideally, you don't really want him to be playing as a false 9. You want him to be playing as a true 9. So that's why both potential solutions, they both have their quirks. They both have their big question marks as well. I don't think that we are built for the first one. I think that we are more suited for the second one, but there are still big question marks for me and big concerns about whether it makes sense to take that approach. And whether that sacrifice is worth it at that point. But that's a potential way that you could get around. And as I say, I'll explore this in more detail in the analysis video. And the final thing I want to say before I go, because I appreciate this has been a longer stream than usual. I apologise for that. The final thing to say, yeah, indeed, Musty, is in the Premier League, certainly, and what I just said earlier was more teams are more willing to press us, and also teams are getting better at pressing as well. Just generally, teams are far better off-ball and tactically nowadays than they were, a few years ago. If you're dropping players back to help with the build-up in the Premier League, then what is the knock-on effect of that? And this is something that we chatted about a few weeks ago when we were first linked to Donnarumma. What you are doing is you are inviting the opponent to press you even more intensely. And you are actually making it harder for yourself. Whereas if you had players higher up the pitch, you are stretching the opponents, you're penning them back a little bit. You are at risk of actually making the situation worse by trying to mitigate it by adding in lots of players to the build-up. Because if you add more players to the build-up, then there's no reason why the opponent can't simply respond in kind. Now, one could argue that could potentially create artificial transition moments where you bait the opponent in and you just try to hit them on the counter-attack. Maybe that is an option. I don't yet know how convinced I am that it is viable to play like that consistently. And I fear that it just invites more opportunities for errors. Because now all of a sudden, if you've made an error, you're making it really, really deep in your own defensive third, which is a lot worse than making an error, obviously, in the middle or the offensive third. It's almost asking for trouble, really, almost by overly committing lots of plays. So if we did do that, if we said, okay, the build-up, not only are we going to drop Rodri, we're also going to drop Bernardo, let's say. And we're just going to leave Reinders up top in the midfield. So now we have the whole back four and the two more defensive midfielders assisting with build-up. So we've got plenty of bodies back there. And there's no reason why the opponent won't just commit more bodies forward. They'll get closer to our goal, and it could actually have a net negative impact. This is why I'm struggling to figure out what the solution is, because I've not yet been able to identify one which is and I'm not going to find anything that's perfect, but you know what I mean. Do you know what I mean? So that's my take on it, which I'll explore in a bit more detail later this week, hopefully. Do we have any final questions before we wrap this show up, which I say has been a little bit longer than usual? But have you hopefully got some value out of it? Let me know. Let me know. How did Liverpool build up with Alisson? I know Donnet is worse than him ball playing wise. Well, first of all, Alisson is very good with his feet. That's the first thing to say. But also we know, and I think we saw it against Arsenal, to be fair, like we know that they have got no problem going long or going a bit more direct, because just look at the players that they have. Look at how intense all of those players are and how physical all of those players are. Like even their forwards, like Ekitike, he looks like a really good out of possession player, you know? Their team is built in a far more solid dimension than we are. We are currently a bit more frail. And again, this is why the signing has confused me a little bit, because it feels like Donnarumma is a player who'd make so much sense based on like the players that we have targeted in the past, like Rice and Bellingham and even Bruno Guimaraes, that sort of ilk of player. I think that would make a lot of sense, and I could get that. But and this is what I mean about like it's all about squad building's all about balance. And I'm not sure that we've got the correct midfield for the goalkeeper that we've just signed. I don't know if I don't know. I'm not sure. I'll need to see it. But right now, I have my concerns. I have my hopes, though, as well, that we'll be able to figure it out, that we'll get the balance right. And I'm hopeful that Donnarumma is going to be a fantastic signing for us. Again, nothing's changed. My concerns are still there. But we back our players, don't we? And we are hopeful that they succeed. So hopefully you guys enjoyed today's stream. I'm going to wrap it up. Now we got over 200 likes, which is great. Thank you so much for that. Really appreciate the support. Hopefully I was able to provide some value. Hopefully my position on Donnarumma is clear, because I know, again, lots of people keep making up lies about me on Twitter. It's very concerning and odd. It's very weird. People think that I hate him. People think that I don't think it could ever work. People think that, I don't know, that we're going to go to shit now. That sort of thing. These are all lies. I'd rather people didn't lie on my name. So hopefully, like, this video is now clear on my views on the situation. Yo, the bot is broken. Why aren't the commands working? But yes, we are live on Twitch later tonight. It's the final couple of streams of Red Dead Redemption 2. So do make sure to join me for that. Let me just put the link in the chat for you guys. Oh yeah, I was on Sky Sports last night. That was fun. Sky Sports News. That was fun. Only for like 2 minutes. They asked me like 2 questions. There we go. I will be live tonight at 7 PM English time. As always on a Tuesday. Roger, you can call into the stream on Friday if you want. I have a nasty agenda. Yeah, it's just very frustrating because I feel like I'm trying very hard to give a balanced, objective, measured take. Like I'm not... And this is why it's so weird when people say, oh, this guy complains about everything. Someone said that the other day. It's like, okay. And the same day, someone went, oh, this guy's a happy clapper. Lads, it can't be both. It can't be both. They are two totally opposite things. They are directly contradictory. They can't both be true. Could it actually just be, guys, that I'm a human being with independent thought, and my opinions are based purely on what I think, not partisan or arbitrary notions? I'd say so. Thank you guys very much for watching. I'll catch you in the Twitch tonight at 7. More good chat and stuff then. I'll see you guys later. Goodbye, guys.